Gerald, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
It'd be great to have a discussion a little bit about capabilities-driven strategy, but in particular, the book that you've written, Merge Ahead, the role that capabilities plays in successful M&A deals.
When we did Merge Ahead, we were thinking ahead to capabilities-driven strategy and how do capabilities sink in. One of the things that we observed as a problem that we wanted to address is that we as a set of industries had decided that big was good and big is better, and that somehow big would insulate us from recessions and downturns and all sorts of things, and certainly this notion of too big to fail we've now seen as a flawed notion. Citibank was assembled to avoid many of the things that actually ultimately befell it. So what we wanted to do is look at the notion of, well, how do you trade off size versus effectiveness? And we settled on the notion of relevant scale that acknowledged that I needed reach, I needed depth. Some of that required me to need size, but it was the relevance and the connectivity amongst them, my various capabilities, that in fact made a difference. The other problem that we were observing was people were picking up growth in very disjointed ways. There was organic growth, there were acquisitions, sometimes they weren't connected at all, and sometimes acquisitions was just what I did when organic growth had failed me. And again, we thought that there needed to be more connection between those two, with again, capabilities being the glue that holds it together.
This topic of too big to fail is really quite interesting. Many companies just pursued acquisitions for years to get bigger, to get the scale, whether it was back-of-house scale, manufacturing scale, distribution scale, sales force scale. Why is that no longer relevant, or why is it not as relevant anymore?
Scale that gives me depth in something or that gives me reach is very relevant. So if I am going to incur the costs that are necessary to go from segmenting consumers and marketing to them as a whole to actually marketing to them one by one and building relationships with them one by one, which is the trend in the industry, that costs money. It takes a lot of investment and requires, in fact, some scale and some capability to do that. If I'm going to build the advanced information engines and analytical engines that we need in the healthcare industry, in agricultural trading, and in other industries, that takes investment, it takes capital, it takes technology, and some minimum size or scale to take advantage of those things. So I do need some size, but it's built around something that is relevant.
So you're defining it around those capabilities that you build that can bring success to a company rather than around the total size of the company.
That being depth, and then also defining it around reach, which is getting bigger to be able to take a set of capabilities to all of the markets that I want to take it to, or to get deeper into customers and get the penetration that I want to get.